Hello, Needham, and welcome to What's My House Worth, a show that slices and dices the real estate scene in Needham. Today's two-part episode, that's right, two-part episode.
Bonus episode.
Is going to examine the month of June, where there were 60 sales, clearly not enough time in a half hour to review the 60, so we're gonna do it on a show-by-show basis.
Wow, so saddle up everybody, we got a lot to cover.
We promise we'll just keep it to within two shows. My name is Rob Tickton. This is Ryan McDonald. We are with Hawthorne Real Estate. We are a design build company. We're also a real estate brokerage company. And sometimes for our clients, Ryan, we are
both, Rob.
That would be correct. Well done.
Thank you.
Today's episode, like I said, blockbuster. 60 sales in the month of June. So we are going to first take a look at the kind of overall big picture of the month of June. And Ryan, let's start with that number 60. Does it come to you as a surprise?
No, it does not, Rob. As you mentioned, 60 closings of single families in Needham during June. That's up from 24 sales in May, so twice as many and more than last month. What I do find interesting, though, is that it's a different mix this month, Rob. So there's fewer of the kind of the big dollar sales. Our average list price has come down under $1 million to about $916,000, with an average sale price right there at $912,000. But what's strong here, Rob, is still the percentages. We're closing at a 100% of list price in June, which is obviously remarkable, and 98% of original list, which again, as I always talk about, is the stronger of the two as indicators of the market's strength. Then, comparably, last month we were at 99 and 97, respectively, still very strong in its own right. And our average sale price per square foot, this is the number that I find a little bit peculiar. We're down to $361 per square foot. From last month, we were at $377. And usually we know the trend that the lower the price, maybe the higher the price per square foot, because it's typically smaller houses and they have a higher price per square foot, but not in this case. So that I found interesting.
Interesting, indeed. You also suggested that the average sales price, average list price, a little bit lower. I think testament to that, of the 60 sales, 46 of them under $1 million. I think if you and I both would have guessed that number going into the month, we probably would have gone a little bit lower than 46 sales under $1 million. It's a pretty high percentage. But that's good. That means a lot of people are coming into Needham at under $1 million, the way it should be, right?
Yeah, and look, Rob, at the average days on market.
I know, they're flying.
38 days, that is tremendous.
You price it right, Ryan, it goes.
That's right.
You cannot underprice a home.
You can try.
But you can't do it.
Can't do it.
Take a look at the last 6 months, and I think that's just another way that kind of shows you what a crazy month of June it was when you compare it to the previous 5 months. And we've been certainly hinting that it's been coming, Ryan, and there you go.
Right. I think last month we were talking about how we thought there would be more closings in May.
Yep.
Given all of the activity on the street during March and April. So here they are, Rob. Here they finally closed, and I think we're going to have more to come in July.
Agreed. I think July is going to be a huge number as well, maybe even warranting a two-part episode.
Wow, that's going to be 4 shows in 2 months.
Fun summer, everybody.
Get our agent on the phone.
June historical sales. How does it stack up with June's of yesteryear?
Pretty Juney.
That's healthy, right?
Yeah. Still couldn't quite climb that mountain of 2012 when we hit 64 sales in June.
Speaking of 2012, one thing I found interesting, 64 sales that year in that month, average sales price $819,000. As we saw this year of the 60 sales, average sales price $912,000. So that's an increase of 11%. Maybe, give or take, about what the market has done over that time period of 3 years.
Yeah, definitely a good, strong indicator of the health that we've been seeing.
Yes, we're big on indicators for sure. Time to jump in and take a look at those 60 sales, see how many we can race through this half hour. The first one is 259 Kendrick Street. We're going to start this the way we always do, which is the lower sales price and work our way up. Ryan, what do you know about this one?
This one is a pretty visible location, Rob. It's on the corner of Kendrick and Greendale. This is right where the new on-ramp is going to be built or is in the works.
A high traffic location.
For sure, a high traffic location, but also $330,000. And if you look back 4 years, Rob, there's only 5 properties in Needham that have sold for a price lower than this one. And all 5 of those have since flipped. So that's interesting.
What does that tell you?
It tells me when something goes on the market at this price, as this listing agent, if you noticed in what he put in the write-up, they scream to investors because someone looks at that and says that there's room here to turn this around. And in these 5 that flipped, they were renovations. They were not new construction.
Right. So 29 Wachusett Road, a much different property, even though it's close in terms of being the second one on the list. Goes for $469,000. That's a kind of a little bit of a tricky location, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, I mean, Wachusett's always tough because it's just built into that hill. I think this is a pretty good price, to be honest with you. I think the seller's probably pretty happy. I mean, at 1,300 square feet, you're less than 8,000 square foot in terms of your lot size. You're
Right.
on a hill. There's some logistical challenges to living there. While it was reasonably priced, as the agent mentioned, I believe it got a good price, and I think this is a good strong number for this house.
Yeah, I like that reasonably priced home. That's an adjective.
How do you argue with that?
You don't see very often in listing sheets.
I liked it.
Over at 21 Gayland Road, they sold a nice looking cape there for $515,000. It's the third one up, Ryan. Thoughts?
This one was an early candidate for me for my deal of the month for the buyer.
Oh, it was a nominee, was it?
It was a nominee. I thought, it's 7,400 square feet as far as the lot. It's sloped. It's under 1,700 square feet as far as the living space, but it was totally redone. And it's a nice cape, and it's a nice quiet street near town. I mean, this was a candidate for me. I liked it.
All right, so it was in your top 5?
Yeah.
It was a nominee?
A nominee.
Should we start asterisking nominees?
Sure. I mean, definitely maybe you can mention it along the way as we do.
Okay. Yeah.
Things that are candidates. This was a candidate for the buyer.
I think I might have just made up a word as well. 9 Morningside, this is an interesting listing.
Yep. it
Right?
is.
Lots going on here. Something tells me we're going to be talking about this one again, maybe in a few months, Ryan.
It's possible. I mean, this one was purchased by a developer who's since put it back on the market at not a big spread in the asking price that he's looking for, based on what this closed at.
And I don't think he's going to do much to it. I mean, truth be told, this house went under agreement, what was it, 6+ months ago? So you could almost make the argument that when it went under agreement, it was a little bit of a different market then than it is now, and he's just basically catching the wave of what he's seen maybe in the last few months.
Possibly, yeah.
And just looking to make a quick buck.
Yeah, I don't know that anything is imminent. This listing is no longer active.
True.
But like you said, we'll see what happens here. It's a house that could use some updating. I don't think it's truly a candidate to be redeveloped from a new construction standpoint. The lot is tricky. You're 21 steps up from the street, so you don't have to contend with that. But great neighborhood, Morningside.
Yeah, we'll be revisiting that one and hopefully wrapping up the story to see where it lands.
Yep.
Very interesting. Something we really haven't seen. Something that just gets flipped almost instantaneously.
Right,
At least that's what
right.
seems to be happening. Although you're right, it came off the market, so who knows what that means.
Right.
143 Honeywell Street. This is a listing that's at the corner of Central Ave and Honeywell, and has 2 driveways. You like 2 driveways, Ryan? That do anything for you?
It depends, Rob. 2 driveways just as to have, who knows? But if they make it work, then great.
If you have a circular driveway, can you say you have 2 driveways?
According to the town of Needham, you do. 2 curb cuts.
Done.
So sale price of $540. I thought this was a good price for the seller. This one is 1,248 square feet. It is, like you said, on the corner of Honeywell and Central, which is a busy corner with a traffic light. But the 2 driveways paid off, and only on the market 23 days. So great sale.
Great sale. 155 Greendale Ave. This is a house that was in nice condition, move-in condition, wasn't on the market for very long. Usually the ones that are move-into condition are not. It sells in just 4 days for a sales price of $549, which, oh, by the way, is what it was listed for.
Yeah, I mean, this is a possible redevelopment opportunity. This is only a 2-bedroom house. It's on a decent-sized lot. So, again, that's one we'll probably keep our eye on, too.
Yeah, maybe not. It's on a good part of Greendale, and if you're looking to get into Needham for under 6,
Sure.
into a house that doesn't need anything, this might be the house for you. 184 Valley Road. You want to go to the Valley?
Okay.
All right. Let's go to the Valley. 184 Valley Road. Sells for $578, Ryan.
Yep, and this one, Rob, another one, potentially a land sale. It was positioned as such a little bit. It's a 10,890 square foot lot, which is certainly plenty. There's been a lot of new construction down in the valley. This one, interestingly enough, shines light on asking about the 2005 backup on the street, which, as we remember, was a great deal of water. And when you're in the valley, Rob, you can expect to have some of that water coming your way.
Oh, using context clues. I like that.
Yeah.
It seems to be a new thing that I'm seeing more of, and that's the ask about disclosure, where they just give you a little tease. They don't really have enough room on the listing sheet to go into too much detail, but they want to at least plant the seed,
Right.
so that at least they said something about it.
I mean, I like it. I mean, I like getting things out on the table. It's always easier to have an open conversation about something before it becomes an issue. So this is certainly one way of doing that.
It is. 48 Fairview Road. We are into the sixes now, Ryan. Took us a little while to get into the sixes.
Right, for sure.
A pretty good. I mean, this is also being touted as teardown. This is a pretty good number for a teardown on a lot that's less than 10,000 square feet on Fairview, wouldn't you say?
I would agree. It's a 9,200 square foot lot, and it's definitely making no bones about what the intended next use of this property is. It's listed as a quote teardown, being sold as is, and if the pictures were any indicator, there were no pictures of anything out inside the house, all exterior pictures. But as a land sale, as you mentioned, 600,000 definitely had some competition. I would surmise, given it's 60,000 over asking. So that's a pretty healthy number, I think, as you indicated.
Yeah. On Webster Street, I see a house that sells on Webster Street, and my first inclination is to find out where, just because I feel like Webster can mean so many different things because it's such a long road that kind of zigzags throughout town. This particular one is just south of Dedham Ave, and also sold in 2010 for $411,000. Makes you wonder how much work the owners did, because if they didn't do much, that's a pretty easy way to make 200 grand.
Yeah, for sure. There are definitely some updates done here. I think this one is best discussed in the context of the one that we're going to get to next. And this is 5,200 square foot lot, as you mentioned, right near Dedham Ave, near that corner of Dedham and Webster. Some updates, but I think a good deal for the seller, particularly when you look at the next one.
Which is 1044 Webster Street, which isn't very far away.
No, it isn't.
Also south of Dedham Ave. This is a house that definitely needed some work.
It
was beat up on the inside for sure, and needed a lot of TLC for somebody to move in there.
But I mean, at 605,000, you're getting it for the same price as the buyer who paid 605 at 938 Webster. It's a bigger house. You're 1,784 as your square footage compared to 1,346, and more beds and more land. You're getting 12,000, almost 13,000 square feet versus 5,200 square feet, and then it's further down Webster. I like it. I think this is a good buy at 605. Especially compared to 938 Webster.
Here's where I beg to differ with you. I think you have two different buyers. I think the people who are buying 938 Webster can spend up to $600,000, not much more. Whoever buys 1044 Webster has a lot more money to spend because that house needed it in order to move into that house.
I agree wholeheartedly. When you look at the two side by side, where's the better value? I think it's at 1044 Webster.
Right. Well, it goes to show you it's not an exact science, and sometimes you can look at the specs on two houses and think it leads to a very clear picture, but when you take everything into consideration,
everybody's got an opinion.
Yeah, and certainly we do. 23 Norwich Road is next up. This is was in the same family, Ryan, for 55 years. What does that do for you?
Makes it sentimental.
Oh, that's nice. What else does it do for you?
Makes it, I don't know, very emotional.
Okay.
Transaction?
Just what about the listing in general? What does the listing in general do for
I don't know.
you?
I thought maybe I could come up with some more synonyms for sentimental.
Yeah, you were already running out after two.
Right. So this is a 10,000 square foot lot. It has had a couple of price reductions, but I think that's more a function of listing it at the end of October, which is a tough time. That is probably one of the hardest times to come out onto the market. You're right before the world, or at least the Needham real estate world, goes into the holiday break. So listed at the end of October, was on the market for 100 days, sold 610. I think it's probably a decent price.
It's a good point, though. We see all these sales here in June, and we instantly assume that they are sales that were recorded early in the spring market. But truth be told, like Morningside and like this one on Norwich, it could be a sale that happened in the fall when things were a little bit different than they were in March.
A little bit.
Of 2015. So that's something to think about.
Yep.
Great Plain Avenue. This one was on the market well before the spring and was on the market for a while, and it was being mostly advertised and marketed to developers because it needed a lot for sure, which is why it was listed as a property that was in as-is condition. But the bones were good. The location certainly good. We talk very often about this as a kind of a sneaky walk-to-town location, and sells for $612,000.
Yeah, 10,000 square foot lot, in-town location. I think it's well priced and it's a good number.
Over on Greendale Avenue, there was another listing, Ryan, and it happened to sell for $615,000. This one was on the market a little bit longer than Great Plain. It was on the market for 76 days.
Yeah, and it went through a couple of agents, as sometimes it happens when things don't go well right off the bat. This is currently being run as a daycare facility, interestingly enough.
Wow.
And I think it's on Greendale. It's obviously a busy road, but also the backyard of this property there's a lot of ledge, a lot of rock. They've sort of worked around it, interestingly, with a very, very large deck, which I thought was creative. But so that type of property, you're going to have to as a buyer, you're getting land, but you're not getting really lush, plush, green grass, lawn, play land. It's a different type of property.
All right, 639 Central Avenue is another different kind of property. And while it's on a busier street, it is across the street from one of our favorite streets, which is Luart.
I like Luart.
We both like Luart.
Yeah.
No better way to blend two names than that.
Yeah, we've always speculated as to how that discussion went to name that street.
That's the assumption. It is certainly not fact. But sorry, we digress.
Yes, we did.
639 Central is next up on the list. This one sells for $625,000. Built in 1870, Ryan.
Yeah, on 13,000 square feet. So that's a nice sized lot there.
That's a good size for sure. Staying on Central Avenue is 386 Central Avenue. This is the corner of Central and Jennifer.
Yes.
A little bit of a name theme going on.
Maybe that neighborhood needs to be nicknamed the Name Neighborhood or something along those lines.
The neighborhood.
Oh boy.
Both fireplaces not been used by the current owners of this one.
Okay.
Does that mean anything to you?
I think the rule of thumb is always, people always ask that question, do the fireplaces work? And the answer is usually they use it, but you should always have a chimney sweep, look at a fireplace on a periodic basis, and never a better time than when you're taking ownership of a new house.
Some people just don't do fireplaces.
Some people don't, yeah.
I mean, they can live in a house for 15 years and not use it once.
Right.
Some people just, use it at every chance they get.
Yep.
Vertically pictured home.
Yes.
We don't have too many of these.
Yeah.
19 Walnut. I think you're kind of setting the stage for maybe a smaller lot when you do this.
In digging deeper, all of the pictures for this listing are like this. It's sometimes we talk about like, how does this get past the discussion with the seller? You say, here's your listing, check it out. And they don't say, well, how come the pictures look like that?
Right.
But it didn't matter. 5 days on market, sells for asking. So what do we know?
Right. Price is what matters. This one built in 1890. Another older home. 36 Edwardell Road, or Edwardell, if you will.
Edwardell, Rob.
Yeah, I know. Edwardell just seems to roll off the tongue a little bit easier.
Okay.
Sells for $667,500 and sells in 93 days.
Yeah, and this one I think was a tough one to price. It's, if you look at it on paper, it's 2,100 square feet. Edwardell is a very nice neighborhood, and the lot is 17,000 square feet. But it's wooded and sloped, and it's difficult to get to really put your finger on what is the value lost in terms of the lot being configured the way that it is. And in this case, it's to the tune of over $100,000.
All right, there you go. Next up, it's time for a little bit of Red Riding.
Uh-oh.
You want some Red Riding, Ryan?
Red Riding Rob.
All right, let's do it. 138 Melrose, and that, Ryan, is my deal of the month. And it's pretty straightforward. It's not too tricky on why this is my deal of the month.
Okay.
It's a location play.
Okay.
I think the days are probably numbered in Needham when you can get a location such as this. Granted, a smaller lot in the sevens, but for under $700,000, I think you can take this house, and I think you can add on to it. You could put $500,000 into it, and I think you, at that point, have a house that's worth over $1.2 million.
Yeah, and maybe more as we see at 73 Sargent in a little while.
That's right. So I think you can't go wrong buying a lot. I don't really care what the size is, granted, and a house in this neighborhood for a number that starts in the sixes. I think you're very, very protected on the downside, and I think there's a lot of upside. So 138 Melrose is my deal of the month.
It's interesting, and I think I would agree.
Thanks, Ryan.
You're welcome.
Always helps. 82 Sutton Avenue is in a little bit of it's a quiet neighborhood, for sure. This one's on the market for a little while. It was a for sale by owner, I think, for a touch, before eventually getting listed. And of course, once it got listed, sold pretty quickly. Big lot.
Yeah, it's 17,000 square foot lot. It sold in 70 days, so not one of our most rapid turnovers. And I don't want to take you to task there, but the only problem with the quiet neighborhood aspect is the trains in the backyard.
Yeah, I forgot about that part.
But it is what it is. But this house had solar panels on it, so one of the few Needham homes with solar panels. So I think you're going to see more of those as we get more into the vast future of energy efficiency.
Further into the millennium.
That's right. But like you said, 17,000 square foot lot, a little dated, but I think for $680, this is a good buy.
All right. What do you think about 326 Rosemary Street? You think that was a good buy? Because this one sold in 2004 for $574,000. Sells for $694 in, of course, June of 2015. It was enchanting, right?
Yeah, it is. It's $694. I mean, that's a good, strong number for this house. I mean, it's up by the Nahoyden side of Rosemary, so not on the one-way side of Rosemary. 7,500 square foot lot. It's dated, but it's nice. I think enchanting, an enchanting English colonial is an apt description.
In all caps.
In all caps. So I mean, yeah, I think 694 or 694 rather is a good healthy number that the seller's probably pretty happy with.
All right. Over on Dedham Ave, I have a question about the next listing, Ryan. It's
Okay.
369 Dedham Avenue. And I don't know if you caught this, but in the property description, it did say that, let me just make sure I get this right, wide open lower level for kids and dad's getaway.
Yeah.
So my question is, why does it have to be for dad's getaway?
Why not for moms?
Why not?
Oh. I mean, I thought this guy was firing on all cylinders with this description. I mean, he's really playing up DeFazio.
Yep.
You know, the tot lot, mentioning that by name. He's throwing Sweet Basil's at you. Even gave Taylor Stationery a nod. I mean, this guy was really playing up all the things in Needham that go along with buying this house. And the description was almost more about that than it was about the house itself.
Right.
But interesting point you do make, Rob, about the kids and the dads getting away in that basement. What about mom?
What about a mom cave?
Yeah, how about a mom cave?
Right? It doesn't always have to be the man cave.
Yeah, seriously.
At 367 High Rock Street, there was a house that was showed up a little bit late in
Yeah.
MLS. Kind of turned my world upside down just for a few minutes, but I digress. It sells for $718,000. Well priced, it looks like, Ryan.
Yep.
That's a solid number, I
Sure.
think, for a house that sold in 2012 for $555,000.
Yeah, it's a deceptively large house. Like it looks rather unassuming, but it's over 2,000 square feet. It's got a nice finished basement, 10,000 square foot lot. High Rock's a busier street, but you know I think for the square footage, it's a good number.
And a solar powered pond. You don't see those very often.
Yeah, I mean I definitely like my pond solar powered.
I think that the best way to do it is just a little more costly,
Right.
than having a heater,
Yeah.
an electric heater for your pond.
Huh?
No?
Why do you need to heat your pond?
Yeah. Exactly. 50 George Agate Road
Yep.
is our next sale. Number 23, Ryan. We're not even halfway there.
Wow.
I know. It's like High Rock. I feel like another good number. This one.
Yeah, I think, and just sort of as we talked about earlier with the two Websters, I think this one, when you look at the one that's next, you're gonna kind of say, oh, you know what? I don't know. It's a little dated, $725,000. Obviously, in a I would presume a bidding war. So I think maybe we had some buyers getting caught up in a little bit of the frenzy. But
It wouldn't be the first ones
No,
because
they
it certainly
wouldn't.
was a frenzy this
that's
spring.
true.
17 Oak Crest Road is a house that was on the market, then was off the market, then was back on the market. And I think because it was off and then back on, I feel like the buyers got a pretty good deal here.
Yeah, I would agree.
$730,000 for a house that needed nothing.
Right.
Had a nice, albeit small, but a nicer, updated kitchen that kind of opened up to a good-sized family room, and it was on a good lot, quiet neighborhood, and it was 200 plus square feet bigger than George Agate.
Right.
But sells for essentially the same price.
Right.
I like this deal for the buyers.
Me too. And this was another candidate for me for the deal to buyer. And I think what we also saw here was, as you mentioned, it went under agreement, then went back on the market, and then they did also a fairly significant price reduction when it went back on, and then it went for over asking. So it's one of those instances where you can still go to the underpricing well, even though it's been on the market at a higher price, to lead with. And I think it's, as you pointed out and I alluded to, I think when you look at it side by side with George Agate, I think I'd be more comfortable being the buyer of 17 Oakcrest.
Well, these listings are living, breathing things. You can't just apply one strategy to all listings across the board.
Right.
There's a lot of things to consider, but what the current situation is, what else is on the market, what else is happening in Needham. There's a lot of things that go into kind of devising a strategy, and certainly that strategy can change as the circumstances change.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
it's
and honestly, that doesn't mean we don't think that the George Agate buy is a good buy or he paid fair price, whatever. It's just we have the the ability to look in hindsight and just sort of make a call when you're looking at things a month later and they're two slides on a piece of paper.
right,
So
and they're all right next to each other.
Yep.
62 Ensland Road was a house that we both walked through, and I certainly liked it when we walked through. I thought it was really clean, really neat, updated, nice location, right across the street from Broadmeadow, kind of a quieter little area there. And again, lists for $725, and what do you have? Goes for over asking
In a weekend. Yep.
in a weekend. Yep.
8,200 square foot lot, so a little bit small and oddly shaped. But
Oddly shaped, but
you
it's
do
still,
have the playground of Broadmeadow School right in your front yard.
yeah. I mean, you want to talk about front play yards.
Right.
That's a pretty good one too.
Yep.
33 Valley Road, back to the Valley we go. Sells for $740,000. This is a house that was like Enslin on the market for just 5 days.
Yeah, in a good sized lot, almost 12,000 square feet. And this house was updated throughout, like in very nicely. I mean, it was a very nice house on the inside for sure.
Alrighty, 31 Hollow Ridge was a house that was 1,976 square feet, but there was 500 square feet more in the basement, so that puts you up over 2,000 as we're starting to climb here towards the $800,000 mark. This one had a pool in the backyard that was filled in. Does that raise any red flags for you, Ryan? What do you think about that?
No, I don't think so. It's good to know, and it's good to maybe do your diligence on how it was done, but that kind of thing that happens all the time. What I found interesting about this house is there's 5 bedrooms on the second floor, and for a house that's under 2,000 square feet, that seems like a lot of bedrooms.
Yeah, probably not very big.
Right.
At least some.
And so that's the kind of the flip side is that a couple of them were a little bit on the teeny side, but all in all, you're getting 5 bedrooms and you're getting 2,000 square feet almost for $758.
All right. A little bit of a smaller house is 22 Alfreton Road. This is a neighborhood that we've talked about a little bit, Needham Heights neighborhood. Quieter street, but accessible to a lot of different things. It sells for $760,000, Ryan.
Yeah, I like this house. I mean, it's as you mentioned, it's convenient to basically all that Needham Heights has to offer. Very easy to get to the train, shops, Trader Joe's, Starbucks, etc. It's a good sized lot, almost 16,000 square feet, and it's kind of tucked away on the corner of Alfreton, so not it's off Webster. It's a nice little property.
A mix, in a very kind of small geographical confined space. You got a mix of more of the traditional colonials. You have the new construction that's right next door. You have multifamilies on that road as well.
Yeah.
So there's a little bit of something for everybody there at 22
There you go.
Alfreton. 234 Elmwood Road, a house that has a little bit of history, I think we can both agree,
Yeah.
in this town.
Yeah.
But it goes on the market, sells for $775,300, and needed some updating.
Right.
But some good square footage.
Yes, it's good size. It's almost 3,000 square feet. Has the capacity for a home office. Has tons of upside. It is on the corner of Great Plain, but certainly that can work to your advantage, especially if you're hanging a shingle in the front yard. But so this one, as you mentioned, it kind of closes a chapter of Needham's history. But all in all, I think a good number for this home.
And 60 McIntosh Avenue. You want to talk about a house that just got a lot of action
Yeah.
when this thing came on the market. 60 McIntosh seemed to basically adhere to a lot of people's wish list items because it got double-digit offers for a house that needed a lot.
It needs a lot. I mean, by a lot, I mean you could argue a full renovation on the interior. I mean, it has good bones. It's on a quiet street.
And it was clean.
It's clean. It was prepped for sale. But this, I mean, going $100,000 over asking, I think probably exceeded the seller's expectations, I would imagine.
For sure.
It has great upside, but $100,000 of that upside has gone into the seller's pocket. So as the buyer, it's just got a little bit tighter as far as if you're going to make these renovations and your valuation, on the back end.
All right, and I think this is going to be the last one before we conclude episode 1.
Okay.
That's 1831 Central Ave. And you know what I like about this listing, Ryan?
Tell us.
Is when somebody's trying to get directions on how to come to your house and you don't know which direction they're coming from, it doesn't matter because you can say the house is right after Oxbow.
Okay.
Because Oxbow does a little horseshoe right around it.
Okay.
So whether they're coming from the west or the east, say just look for Oxbow, and then it's right there. You can't say right or left because you don't know which direction.
I mean, I'd say that's really all there is. All we need to say.
I got to be honest with you, I was surprised it wasn't on the listing sheet. I mean, what sells a house more than that?
Yeah.
So,
Done.
and that's it. You want to say anything else about that one? You
Again,
can.
all right. It's across from Walker Pond, which is a nice little thing to have across the street from you. It's an acre lot, and I think it's a lot of space and land for the price. I mean, you're under $1 million. You basically have an acre and almost 3,000 square feet of living space. So yeah.
All right.
How about that?
There you go. So that does it for episode 1. If you want to go to the bathroom, get a snack, now's the chance to do it. Episode 2 coming up real soon. That does it for this, though, for now, on What's My House Worth. Thanks for joining us.
See you in a few minutes.